Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders find themselves at the center of yet another storm just 2 weeks into the season, and this time it revolves around their most important asset, rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. The number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft has already shown flashes of why the front office and coaching staff believe he can be the future of this franchise. But after taking a hit that left him hobbling with a knee injury against the Green Bay Packers, the optimism that had been building around Washington's offense suddenly hit a wall. Now the entire organization, from head coach Dan Quinn to offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, is holding its breath as Daniels' availability for Week 3 against the Las Vegas Raiders remains uncertain. When the news first broke that Daniels underwent an MRI, fans immediately feared the worst. Knee injuries are never something to gloss over in the NFL, especially for a mobile quarterback whose game thrives on his ability to extend plays and make defenses pay with both his arm and his legs. Insider reports later revealed it was diagnosed as a sprain, a sigh of relief compared to what could have been a devastating season-ending situation. Still, the sprain leaves his status up in the air, and Quinn's careful choice of words in his press conference only added to the suspense. He made it clear that Daniels is officially day-to-day, and that more clarity should come when practice preparations begin on Wednesday. For a fan base that has endured years of inconsistency and disappointment, Daniels represents more than just a promising young quarterback. He symbolizes hope, a fresh direction, and the possibility of finally competing in the NFC East against powerhouses like the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys. Losing him, even temporarily, feels like a punch to the gut for supporters who have watched this team try and fail to stabilize the most important position in football for decades. The anxiety is palpable, not only in Washington but across the league, where pundits have been eager to see how Daniels develops in Kingsbury's offense. Dan Quinn, true to form, refused to give much away. He's a coach known for his stoic approach, never revealing more than he has to, and this time was no different. When pressed on Daniels' chances of suiting up against the Raiders, Quinn kept things vague, repeating the mantra that the team will take it day by day. It was a classic move designed to calm speculation without overpromising, but the lack of a clear answer only deepened the uncertainty. What's clear, however, is that Washington will not take any unnecessary risks. Daniels will only step onto the field if the medical staff and coaches are convinced he can perform at his usual level without jeopardizing his long-term health. That is easier said than done, especially given the looming matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. This is no ordinary opponent. Their defensive front, led by 4-time Pro Bowler Max Crosby, is one of the most relentless units in football. Crosby, in particular, has a knack for making life miserable for quarterbacks, regardless of experience or pedigree. Throwing a less than fully healthy rookie into the fire against him could be a recipe for disaster. At the same time, this is the NFL, where every week matters and the margin for error is razor thin. The Commanders are already in a position where they can't afford to fall too far behind in the standings, which makes the decision even more complicated. In theory, Marcus Mariota provides a safety net. The veteran has been through the highs and lows of being a starting quarterback, and his dual-threat ability aligns with much of what Kingsbury's system is built upon. But let's be real here. Mariota is not Daniels. He doesn't bring the same explosiveness, the same anticipation in the pocket, or the same electricity when he takes off running. If Daniels is the spark plug of this offense, Mariota is more of a placeholder. He can keep things functional, maybe even steal a win or two, but the ceiling drops significantly without the rookie leading the charge. That's the reality Washington must weigh as the week unfolds. Quinn hammered home an important point during his media availability. Daniels will not play unless he proves he can handle everything that makes him unique. That means showing full mobility, demonstrating his trademark change of direction, and passing the eye test in live practice reps. It's not enough to just be cleared medically. The Commanders want to see Daniels look like Daniels. And for a player who thrives on his legs as much as his arm, that's a tall order to meet just days after suffering a sprain. This is why the term day-to-day feels less like an optimistic update and more like a cautious placeholder until the team gathers more evidence. There's also the larger context of Thursday night football lingering over this conversation. Short weeks are notoriously dangerous, especially in the early stages of a season when players' bodies are still adjusting to the grind of full-speed action. The Commanders already paid a price for that accelerated turnaround, with Daniels taking the kind of punishment that put them in this precarious spot. That reality has forced Quinn and his staff to reevaluate how they approach early season preparation. The lesson is clear. There's no reward in rushing a star player back into action if it means risking something far worse down the line. The Commanders' decision-making process will be tested over the next several days, not just in terms of medical evaluations, but also in managing Daniels himself. By all accounts, the rookie is fiercely competitive, the kind of player who will push to be on the field no matter the circumstances. That inner drive is part of what makes him special, but it's also what makes the coaching staff's job even harder. They need to protect him from himself, ensuring that his long-term career isn't compromised by short-term impatience. It's a delicate balance between listening to the player's voice and leaning on the wisdom of doctors and staff who see the bigger picture. In the grand scheme of the NFL, this might look like just another injury update, the kind of storyline that comes and goes every week. But for Washington, it's much bigger than that. Daniels is the centerpiece of their identity shift. He's the reason fans packed FedEx Field with renewed energy, the reason national analysts started paying attention to a franchise long stuck in irrelevance, and the reason Dan Quinn's debut season carried higher expectations than anyone anticipated. Without him, the team's offensive scheme doesn't just lose its edge, it loses its heartbeat. The next 72 hours will be crucial. Wednesday's practice will serve as the first real litmus test of Daniels' progress, and from there, the picture should become clearer. But until that moment arrives, the Commanders are left in limbo, caught between the urgency of the present and the responsibility of the future. If Daniels plays and comes out unscathed, it could serve as an early season rallying point, a testament to his toughness and the staff's calculated risk. If he sits, fans will be frustrated, but the franchise might sleep easier knowing they've safeguarded their investment. Either way, this situation is a reminder of how fragile hope can be in the NFL, especially when it hinges on the health of a single player. For now, Washington can only wait, watch, and prepare. Whether it's Daniels leading the huddle or Mariota stepping in as the temporary conductor, the Commanders will take the field against Las Vegas with the weight of uncertainty hanging over them. And while the outcome of Week 3 will matter in the standings, the more important storyline is already unfolding. How the team manages its future star in the face of adversity. That story, more than any box score, will define the early chapters of the Jaden Daniels era in Washington. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Hold on to your helmets, NFL fans, because the league is buzzing with a development that nobody saw coming, and it's shaking the very foundations of Washington's roster strategy. Yes, we're talking about Chase Young, the defensive powerhouse, the draft sensation, the guy whose name has been whispered in hushed tones across locker rooms from coast to coast, reappearing in Washington in what insiders are calling a trade surprise of the decade. The rumor mill started churning late last night, and ever since, sports pundits, analysts, and casual fans alike have been glued to their screens, refreshing every feed, trying to catch a glimpse of confirmation. And while the official statements are carefully worded, with team spokespeople dropping cryptic hints rather than concrete confirmations, multiple sources suggest that the deal is not just a fleeting possibility. It's happening, or at least, it's in advanced negotiations that could reshape the NFC East entirely. The mere notion of Chase Young back in Washington is enough to spark wild speculation, but let's step back for a moment and consider the layers here. Young, whose early career was marked by explosive performances and flashes of unmatched athleticism, had a rocky stretch over the past couple of seasons. Injuries and inconsistencies led many to question whether he could ever reach the towering potential that made him the second overall pick in the draft. Fans were divided, some clinging to the hope that Young could reclaim his status as a defensive juggernaut, others resigned to the idea that his best days might be behind him. Yet the mere suggestion that Washington is bringing him back indicates a belief that the defensive end is still capable of altering the course of games, disrupting quarterbacks, and perhaps most importantly, energizing a fan base that has been starved for headlines and highlight reels alike. Now, what makes this development particularly juicy is the context of the trade itself. The NFL trade market has been a quiet storm this season. Teams have been maneuvering, shuffling pieces, and quietly gauging the value of star players who could either ignite a championship push or serve as a bargaining chip for future drafts. Washington's front office, historically cautious in big splashes, seems to have pulled off a move that combines both audacity and calculated risk. Rumor has it that the trade involved multiple draft picks, and perhaps even a player swap that could leave ripples across multiple teams. And while we don't have the exact details, and the league offices have been tight-lipped, the chatter among insiders suggests that Washington sees Young not merely as a return to form, but as a potential centerpiece for a defensive renaissance. Of course, the timing of this potential return couldn't be more dramatic. The NFL season is at a point where every game counts, and teams are beginning to separate themselves in the standings. Bringing back a player of Young's caliber could tip the scales in Washington's favor, especially in a division that has been fiercely competitive. Rumors are already flying about how coaches plan to utilize him. Will he resume his dominant role as a pass rusher? Will his presence allow other defensive players to thrive in new positions? And perhaps most tantalizingly, how will this affect locker room dynamics? Fans and commentators alike are speculating about the morale boost a returning star could provide, not just on the field, but in training facilities, team meetings, and beyond. The psychological impact of having a player of Young's reputation back on the roster is, in itself, a story worth following. Social media has, of course, exploded in response to the whispers. Clips of Young from his rookie season, moments of jaw-dropping sacks, and highlights from games where he single-handedly changed outcomes are trending with renewed fervor. Fan forums are lit with debates, some arguing that Washington is taking a gamble on a player whose trajectory has been uneven, others celebrating the potential revival of a local hero. Memes, reaction videos, and speculative graphics of the new lineup are circulating at a dizzying pace. And while all of this is happening online, the betting markets have reportedly begun adjusting odds, quietly factoring in Young's potential impact on Washington's performance for the rest of the season. The excitement isn't just theoretical, it's tangible, measurable, and for many, completely irresistible. But let's not overlook the elephant in the room, the risks. Bringing back a player like Young comes with significant caveats. Injuries, performance fluctuations, and the immense pressure of expectations could all derail what Washington is clearly hoping will be a blockbuster move. Insiders are whispering about conditioning, game readiness, and whether Young's recent recovery and training have been enough to ensure he can compete at the level fans remember. The team's medical staff is reportedly performing meticulous evaluations, and coaches are crafting practice plans that gradually reintegrate him into the lineup. And yet, the rumor alone has already changed narratives around Washington. Analysts are rethinking defensive schemes, opponents are reconsidering game plans, and commentators are scrambling to contextualize how one player's return could ripple across the league. What's perhaps most intriguing about this story is how it reflects larger trends in the NFL, the interplay between hype and performance, risk and reward, and the magnetic pull of narrative. Young's career has always been a blend of raw talent and drama, and this potential comeback amplifies both elements. Fans love a story of redemption, of an athlete returning to the place where it all began and attempting to reclaim former glory. It taps into something almost mythic in sports culture, the idea that a prodigy, once seemingly lost, can find his way back and redefine the game. If this trade solidifies, Washington isn't just adding a player, they're potentially reinserting a symbol, a lightning rod around which narratives, coverage, and attention will swirl for months to come. In the end, whether or not Chase Young ultimately returns to the field in Washington, the fact that this rumor exists has already reshaped conversations, strategies, and the emotional landscape of fans. It's a reminder that in the NFL, nothing is ever certain, and that the unexpected is often the most thrilling part of the game. So, buckle up, because if even half of what the insiders are hinting at comes true, we may be witnessing not just a trade, but a defining moment in both a player's career and a franchise's future. Keep your notifications on, because the coming days are likely to bring more leaks, more speculation, and hopefully for Washington fans, Confirmation that Chase Young is back where he belongs, ready to make waves, sack quarterbacks, and turn rumors into reality. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.